The title of the slide is Civilization Needs a Myth to Live. This video clip is from Marie-Louise von Franz. Von Franz was an author on subjects such as alchemy, analytic psychology, and fairy tales as they related to archetypal and depth psychology. She was a colleague of Jung's and founder of the C.G. Jung Institute in Zurich. In this clip, she begins with the topic of alchemy, a prominent theme in Snow White. Alchemical symbols of her transformation are in the colors that she wears and entities she encounters, among others. The elements in the tale, the alchemical elements, reflect the Germans' interest in alchemy in the early 1600s, around the time the telling of Snow White can be traced, prior to its first published version in 1812. I'm showing you this clip because of her emphasis on the importance of myth, on the need for an inclusive view of femininity, and on the importance of integrating the opposites to allow for an individual's quest for wholeness.
Alchemy is. I would say that a civilization needs a myth to live. We know that if missionaries destroy the myth of the primitive people, they destroy them also physically. They begin to drink, they degenerate, they are lost. And no civilization can live only from welfare. It needs a myth to live. All great civilizations, when they were flourishing, had a living myth. And I think that the Christian myth on which we have lived has degenerated and has become one-sided and insufficient. And I think that alchemy is the complete myth. And that therefore, if our Western civilization has a possibility of survival, it would be by accepting the alchemical myth, which is a completion and continuation, but a richer completion of the Christian myth. That's a myth we could live again with, in contrast to the Christian myth, which doesn't satisfy a great amount of people anymore. And the Christian myth is deficient on not including enough the feminine, or in Catholicism they have the Virgin Mary, but it's only the purified feminine, it's not the dark feminine. And in excluding matter and treating matter as dead and the realm of the devil, and in not facing the problem of the opposites of evil. And alchemy faces the problem of the opposites, faces the problem of matter, and faces the problem of the feminine. The three things which are lacking in Christianity. And therefore it complements the Christian myth and could revive it too that way.
So as we saw on the slide from Jung and Karenni, the maiden on her journey may be pursued, raped, robbed, lack understanding, rage, grieve. This is the dark side that von Franz speaks of. And it's helpful to have a myth that can deal with the dark side, with the opposites, so that we know how to be guided through towards wholeness. Because the psyche wants to be whole. It does not want to stay in trauma. And it needs symbols of transformation that are meaningful and inspiring, and that open the doors to change. So when we're looking for change, for meaning, and for a path, the stories that we know can guide the way. Here is the Greek goddess of memory, Mnemosyne. Her name is derived, or is a derivative from mnemen, meaning mindful. Our memories are our mindful recollection of our journey. Dr. Sharon Turnbull, an educational psychologist, best-selling author, and senior partner of a consulting firm offering educational services to the healthcare community, writes, "Memory is a gift that allows us to reason, to predict, and anticipate outcomes, and is the very foundation for our civilization." So with memory and mindfulness and memoir, We now have the tools with which to reason with our past. So what if the women in myths, fairy tales, and folklore could write? What would they say about their journey? How would their struggle and their wounds be expressed? And how would this help their process to unfold? And how can looking back and looking at memories of stories in our lives help us to heal? I believe that the power of a maiden memoir lies in its power to tell the story. Stories of abandonment, the shedding of maidenhood, reflections on relationships, stories of death, stories of rebirth, encountering the shadow or our dark side, facing fear, signs of guidance, compassionate helpers, symbols of transformation, symbols of wholeness, and most importantly, awakening of the feminine consciousness. I think that lyrics awaken our consciousness. And because of the power of music to tell stories, the end of my presentation today will encompass lyrics. I know that what we hear influences what we think. So I'd like to share with you an excerpt from a song by Sarah McLachlan titled Elsewhere, because of its reflection on the maiden's journey. This video is from YouTube. Someone made it and posted it, so I wanted you to see the words, but I think the images are important for our topic today.